First impressions on 4 new scents, 2 from Arabiyat Prestige and 2 from Fragrance World. Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and as I said, it's time for another first impression video. Today I have 4 scents lined up, 2 of them from the brand of Arabiyat Prestige. The first one is called Portrait Café Noir, and the second one is called Ishar Citrus Oud. And then I have 2 from Fragrance World. One of them is sold under the French Avenue sub-brand, and it's called Essence de Blanc. It's been quite hyped up lately. And the other one is called Just as Rock. The first one from Arabiyat Prestige that I'll be talking about will be Portrait Café Noir. Now, I've been exploring the Portrait series of fragrances lately. There are, I think, a total of 4 scents in this lineup. I've already tried 2 of them, and this is the 3rd one. The OG Portrait is a sort of a clone of Kilian's Angel Share. Also, it's similar to Latafa Hamra. The other one that I've tried and I own is called Portrait Oud. That one is a clone with a heavy twist of Alexandria 2 from Zerzhov. And this is the 3rd one, and this is probably the most unique one that I've tried out of them all. Not because it smells super unique, but it's because it's a very interesting clone. It actually is cloning 2 very famous niche fragrances at the same time. Now, presentation wise, bottle wise, it's pretty much identical to the other 2 members from that very same line. There's a 4th fragrance in there, which soon I'm going to get and I'm also going to try. The sprayer is good, just like the other 2 that I already own. And the fragrance itself is a very interesting one. As soon as you spray this one and you're familiar with, in fact, this actually to my nose smells like 3 original niche fragrances. As soon as you spray this one and you're familiar with 2 of those 3 original niche fragrances, you'll immediately recognize that this has been inspired by them. On one hand, you have Creed Aventus, of course, and on the other hand, we have Cedrat Boisé from Mancera. It opens up in that very same, very fruity, very citrusy style, maybe in fact leaning a little bit to the Cedrat Boisé side, because this has a little bit more citruses rather than the fruity pineapple fruitiness of Creed Aventus, but there's also definitely a lot of the Aventus DNA in here. I get a bit of incense as well, I get a touch of leather somewhere in the background, but the opening on paper is very, very similar to those fragrances. But as soon as I sprayed this one on skin, just to try out how this one smells on skin, the 3rd original fragrance that this has been inspired by immediately revealed itself. And that original fragrance is Baccarat Rouge 540. And so this is a very, very interesting mix and a very interesting fragrance that on paper actually in the opening smells closer to Creed Aventus and Cedrat Boisé, but on skin actually smells a little bit closer to Baccarat Rouge 540, like a more citrusy opening of a Baccarat Rouge 540. And that's a very interesting, sort of a mashup of all those 3 scents. When this goes into the dry down, it actually goes heavier to the side of Baccarat Rouge, having this sort of candy sweetness like the original fragrance, with some woodiness in the background, a bit of that saffron and all that stuff. And all around, this is a very, very interesting scent. Now, I know that a lot of people will hate it because it has the Creed Aventus DNA and also has the Baccarat Rouge 540 DNA. Those 2 original fragrances, on one hand, they are very popular, but on the other hand, a lot of people actually hate them. But then you have the other half of people, or probably the majority of people, who will actually enjoy this scent simply because they like the original scents. I've not tested fully the performance yet. I've given it only 1 wear, but so far the performance seems pretty adequate, and this fragrance will turn out probably to be a very, very versatile scent that also will get a lot of compliments. The second one from Arabiyat Prestige that I'll briefly talk about is called Ishar Citrus Oud, and this one is a lot easier to understand because this is a straight up clone of something. The interesting part here is the bottle size is 110 milliliters, the concentration is EDP, you get a great pressurized sprayer, and the fragrance itself is a clone of Cedrat Boisé from Mancera. It's a straight up clone of Cedrat Boisé, but again just having a slight little bit of a twist, and that twist is in the opening. This just feels a little bit more citrusy than Cedrat Bosé in the opening, maybe having a little bit more of a lemon note compared to the original fragrance. But other than that, smelling very, very similar to Cedrat Bosé. Of course, that makes it also somewhat similar to Creed Aventus as well. And yeah, pretty much if you have ever smelled Cedrat Bosé, you know how Ishar Citrus Oud actually smells. On the dry down, this becomes very similar to the original fragrance from Mancera. You know, you still get some of that freshness, you get some of the oudiness, you get some of the sweetness of, you know, Cedrat Bosé. All around a very, very good clone of Cedrat Bosé. Again, I've given it only one wear so far, but again, performance so far seems to be very, very decent, pretty much on par with the original fragrance from Mancera. So, you know, Ishar Citrus Oud is a straight up clone of Cedrat Bosé from Mancera. And now let's move on to the two scents from the brand of Fragrance World. The first one sold on the French Avenue, and that will be, you know, called Essence de Blanc or de Blanche. Now, this has been quite hyped up recently as being a great clone of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And I just really wanted to try this one, and I can tell you that quality here is really, really nice. But let me first show you the sprayer in action. This is an EDP concentration fragrance, 100 milliliters. The bottle has nice heft, looks really nice, nice sprayer. The cap is metallic, it's quite heavy, and the scent itself definitely smells quite similar to Imagination, but also, especially in the opening, to my nose, this is quite different at the same time. It has a lot of the same notes as Imagination itself. You get the citruses, you get a hint of the neroli, although here the neroli note is actually a little bit stronger to my nose compared to the original scent. There's a bit of ginger, maybe some spiciness, and in fact the main difference here compared to the original fragrance to my nose is the fact that you know, here the neroli note is ramped up a little bit, and also that spiciness in here is quite a lot stronger compared to Louis Vuitton's fragrance. This is like a slightly less citrusy and a little bit more neroli and you know, spicy opening, spicy take on the original scent itself. Once this goes into the dry down, it actually becomes quite similar to you know, to Imagination, because it softens up a little bit, that spiciness goes away. The neroli and the ginger note that this one has are quite strong even on the dry down, but on the dry down you also get a bit of sweetness, maybe something like muskiness somewhere in the background, some ouds maybe as well. And it's you know, a bit sweeter, and definitely on the dry down gets closer to the original fragrance from Louis Vuitton, but definitely doesn't feel like a straight up clone, especially in the opening. But quality here is really, really nice. Again, I've given this only one wear, and so far this seems to have a very adequate performance, considering that this is a very fresh, very light type of scent. And so far this has been you know, a pretty good fragrance from French Avenue and Fragrance World. And so we're left with the last fragrance from Fragrance World, which is called Just As Rock. And actually this is the star of the show for me, the star of today's video. This fragrance is heavily inspired by Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir, but it doesn't feel like a straight up clone. Now, Fragrance World already have a great clone of Invictus Victory Elixir, which is called Invicto Victorious Elixir, if I remember correctly, and that one is really, really nice and very close to the original fragrance. Just As Rock actually feels like a very interesting twist of the original scent. And I really, really like how this one smells. Now, the main way that this differs, the main twist that Fragrance World have done is in the opening of this fragrance, because I pick up quite a strong coconut note in the opening of Just As Rock, and it's one of those rare occasions where I can actually tolerate a coconut note and actually enjoy it. The opening is, to my nose, feels like a mix between the Le Beau fragrances from Jean-Paul Gaultier and you know, Invictus Victory Elixir, having that coconut note, adding just a bit of sort of a summer feel to the opening of Just As Rock, making it a little bit more fruity compared to the original fragrance. You get the fruitiness, you get the sweetness from the vanilla, a hint of spiciness, maybe just a hint of incense somewhere in the background. It's a very nice, very enjoyable opening. When this actually goes into the dry down, this becomes very similar to the original fragrance from Paco Rabanne. Actually, the dry down is almost identical, and that's where this is super close to the original fragrance and super close to the other clone from A Fragrance World. All around, this is a very, very nice fragrance, and I was really pleasantly surprised by the scent of Just As Rock. Quality is really, really nice, and also the performance. Again, just one wear so far, but the performance seems to be top notch. In fact, I feel that it's a little bit stronger than Invicto Victorious Elixir from the very same brand. And that's why I think, Just As Rock has been the star of today's video. And at the end, a few final words about the 4 fragrances featured in today's video. 2 of them are from Arabiyat Prestige. That Portrait Café Noir is a very, very interesting mix between, a few very famous scents, Creed Aventus, Cedrat Boisé, and Baccarat Rouge 540, making it sort of a unique and at the same time something that you've probably smelled quite a lot. Quality is nice, performance seems to be pretty decent, and this will probably be a crowd pleaser and a compliment getter. Ishar Citrus Oud, again from Arabiyat Prestige, is another great scent from this brand. This is a straight up clone of Cedrat Boisé, having a little bit of a twist in the opening, feeling a little bit fresher than Cedrat Boisé, but on the dry down smelling very, very similar to the original fragrance. Again, we're talking about top-notch quality, and so far, from my initial experience, a very adequate performance. All around, Arabiyat Prestige as a brand, I think, deserves way more attention than it currently gets, and it gets overshadowed by the other famous brands from the Middle East. But I'll keep exploring scents from this brand because I really enjoy all of them that I've tried so far. When it comes to the 2 fragrances from Fragrance World and French Avenue, Essence de Blanc is a very sort of an interesting take on the scent of Imagination from Louis Vuitton. The opening is a lot more spicy compared to the original fragrance. The dry down is where this fragrance actually gets close to the original one. It's fresh, it's clean, it's easy to wear. Probably the best time to wear this one is in the in summertime, but you can definitely wear this one all year round. So far, again, seems to have a very adequate performance. And then Just As Rock actually turned out to be the star of the show in today's video, because this is an absolutely fantastic clone of Invictus Victory Elixir with an interesting sort of a fruity twist. The opening here feels like a mix between Le Beau and Invictus Victory Elixir, and the dry down seems to be almost identical to the one fragrance from Paco Rabanne. And so guys, in today's video I shared with you my initial impressions on 2 scents from Arabiyat Prestige and 2 from Fragrance World. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.